takes the mark. The fight's still going on over in the right full-back pocket for Fremantle. The kick to half-forward is marked by Coops. Was knocked away from him, but the mark's paid. Coops is at left half-forward. Still the fight goes on. I think Lecuria's in it. I'll leave it to Glenn to tell us exactly who's involved. Coops bag, kicks badly off the side of his boot to centre half forward. The ball knocked to the side of the pack. Malloy will get to it first. Gets rid of Carr with a good hip and shoulder. But it comes to Cook. Cook with a hurried kick towards centre half forward. Cunningham in the middle of the pack. Couldn't take the mark. Hazelby gets it across to Ugle. Ugle snaps on goal. That's close. That's a goal. Ugle's got his second goal for the night, and his second goal in AFL football. 25 and a half minutes played in the final quarter. Collingwood 18-5, 113. Fremantle 13-11, 89. The margin is 24 points.
Well, there was a little bit going on back behind the play. Shane Parker, Chris Tarrant, Lecuria and Peter Bell were all involved in it down the back there, but he's been quite lively, Kieran Ugle. He's only very lightly framed, and as you said, he's been promoted from the rookie list, but he's got some real silky skills as Anthony Rocker comes back onto the ground, and I think it's Ben Kinnear who's come off, and for Fremantle, Justin Longmuir is going back onto the ground with Brad Wirra coming off,
and we have a roll on Tarkin Lockyer.
And Collingwood have kicked 8 of the previous 9 before Ugle kicked that goal, so it just shows that the Fremantle fade-out is still well and truly alive.
Lockyer came into the match with heavy plastering under his left eye, and perhaps he's bleeding from that area again. Off he comes. Wakeland back on.
Lockyer's done quite well. 7 marks, 14 kicks and 3 effective hand passes.
The goal umpire advancing from behind the line at the Subi end to have a chat with some players who are still pushing and shoving.
Ugle and Brody Holland having a bit of a...
And Leon Davis has just pointed at the scoreboard and shown Robert Hadrill, don't worry about pushing and shoving, have a look at the board. Meanwhile, the ball's been bounced, hacked out by Collingwood from the bottom of the pack through Fraser. Spent a lot of time on the ground literally tonight, Fraser. Malloy playing for the free kick, and he'll get it. Held but not in possession. Bell streaming away with the footy, but he'll need to relinquish it. Jared Malloy can put Collingwood well into their attacking half. Malloy goes out wide. Clement has run down from half back. Almost all the players in one half of the ground at the moment, the end of which Collingwood is kicking. And Clement goes long on the lead. Rocker takes it on the second attempt. Bounced off his chest, regathered just before he crossed the line at left full forward. Plays on, goes towards Tarrant all on his own. Drops the mark though. In the end, McPhee steals it away. He wants to come member side with the kick, and he'll find Eastor, who marks at left fullback. Plays on by hand to Heath Black. Black running along the boundary line towards left half-back. Goes long and high. McKee's just come back onto the ground. He's crunched from behind by McManus, who almost threw the ball out towards Pavlich. He gives it to Cunningham. Cunningham's got Bell free at centre half forward. Shocking kick. Bell's going to go back and recover. He'll still have time and space, but now it's a more difficult prospect on goal. Goes from 48. Hazelby was caught behind in the end, forced to fist it away, and it's gone out of bounds.
Gee.
That was a shocking kick. Bell was that far in the clear, it was ludicrous. All he had to do was kick it in front of him. He would have gathered 40 metres out and run into an open goal. As it was, he kicked it a dozen metres behind him, and it's in the end gone out of bounds.
In fairness to Cunningham, he's only been on the field for a couple of minutes, and that was his first kick.
Spoken like a good Claremont supporter, Ken. As Collingwood are about to clear the ball from full back towards centre wing. Jones does well. Gets rid of his opponent, Malloy. Takes the mark on his chest. He goes back into the centre square. Fremantle are still trying hard as Eastor takes the mark ahead of the centre line. He kicks towards left half forward. It's a shocking kick, but it lands with Walker. Gee, they look tired. But you cannot deny the fact that they've tried to play this game out, and they've been undermanned with Eastor having to go off, and of course losing Bandy early. The ball to the front of the pack, taken by Cook, who drives at goal and misses to the right. They're 13-12. Collingwood are 18-5. The margin is 23 points, just past the 29-minute mark of the final term.
Well, Fremantle are going to be 0-17 and potentially only 5 weeks away from recording the worst ever home and away season. No team's ever lost 22 in a year. Kick into play by Buckley was short and marked by Lecuria out of back pocket. He chips it back across the defensive goal square to Loney. Loney goes short, too short. O'Bree's going to gather on the half volley. Now accelerates away. Actually runs through the goal square with a bounce and goes very wide to the outer pocket through the hands of Wakeland and over the line for a boundary throw-in. But it's academic. 30 minutes travelled in the last term. It's a 23-point lead to the Magpies. Ball to be thrown in. Longmuir and Clement. Clement wins it down with an open palm back towards the boundary line. Cunningham gets it to sit for him kindly. Hand passes to Black. Kicks Fremantle high inside 50. Malloy at the fall in front. Couldn't take the mark. Stripped of the ball was Freeborn by his teammate Leon Davis, and he bounces a kick over the boundary line on the members' wing. Depending on where you are listening tonight, tomorrow you'll get Port Adelaide and Essendon, Hawthorn and Carlton, or Sydney playing West Coast.
Boundary thrown between left centre wing and left half forward for Fremantle. Knocked to the side of the pack by Burns. Socket further afield by Collingwood, and it rolls out of play between right centre wing and right half forward for the Black and Whites. Collingwood 18-5, 113. Fremantle 13-12, 90. We played nearly 31 minutes in the final quarter. 7 goals to 2 Collingwood have kicked in this final term. They were trailing at three-quarter time. Boundary throw-in. The ruckmen wrestle each other. Eastor punches the ball clear. Davis fell over, is now forced to soccer it the wrong way. Taken by McManus, who's set Carr up with a hand pass. He was run down by Malloy. That turns the ball over. It's with Steinford. He hand passes back infield to Holland. Holland gets his kick in the nick of time. Down towards full forward. The mark is taken by Tarrant. Rockers too loose at the top of the square. He's backing back, but Brown's got back to him. So Tarrant will shoot for goal. Looking for his
blood draw, Rob.
And it's Parker, is it? Who will have to go off. Tarrant has kicked 4 goals. Parker has a word to him as he goes past. Black comes across to stand the mark. Kickett will go back on. He came off. He looked as though he was injured when he came off.
This will be Tarrant's 5th 5-goal haul of the season if he can slot it through.
And Glenn, he's taken 10 marks.
He's had to work hard, though. Parker's gone with him as hard as he could. The shot for goal. Tarrant is currently outside the boundary line. He'll kick from the 50-metre line. So it's a fairly acute angle, but he's a left footer, and he's in the right pocket for a left footer. Well, that's a good kick. That's a great goal. That is a very good goal by Tarrant. 19-5 Collingwood. That's remarkably accurate kicking. 119. Fremantle 13-12, 90. 32 and a half minutes played in the final term.
Chris Tarrant's just got an absolutely wonderful technique when he kicks on goal with that left foot, and that was no exception. He slotted that beautifully. But, yeah, I feel for Shane Parker, who he's had 5 kicked on him, Wally, but he's done a pretty good job. And I suppose the question you've got to ask is, who else could you put on Tarrant to actually shut him down? So a little disappointing for Shane Parker. He has battled very diligently.
Chris Tarrant, 45 goals for the season now. Ball back in the middle, the very dying stages of this game. We've almost played 33 minutes. Ball bounced. McKee wins it down, knocked away then by Eastor, but only as far as Lucuria. Gets a hurried left foot kick to half forward. Leading out is Ugle. Knocks it away from Holland towards the boundary line, follows up and paddles it over for a throw-in. So the margin 28 points. Collingwood having trailed by 7 at three-quarter time, and a rather despondent Adrian Fletcher, co-captain, sitting on the bench, has made a lot of public acclamations about his own form this season. Ball thrown in. In fact, it's 19-5, 119. I've said 118, so the margin's 29 points. Well spotted, Walt. Free kick being played on the outer side. Walker with it now for Fremantle, ducking and diving. Hand pass puts it at the teammate under pressure. That was Hadrill. Bell gets it for Fremantle. Hand pass to Hazelby. Knocked down by Lucuria. His hand pass by Batheris, I should say. Cook goes in. Overrunning the ball was Bell. Fights for it again. Ugly passage to conclude the game. Black then gets it. A hurried right foot kick to half forward for Fremantle. Going after it, McManus flicks it on cleverly to Jones. Jones a high kick towards full forward, leaning over the pack. Coops brings it to ground, running out of space and runs out of time as well. Collingwood have snapped a 3-game losing streak. They've won by 29 points. And Collingwood keep their finals prospects alive, while for Fremantle, It's been a case of agony once again. 19-5, 119. Fremantle, 13-12, 90. Let's listen to the Collingwood theme song. And there is the Collingwood theme song. They're a pretty happy bunch. They were challenged tonight, and believe me, Fremantle will play a lot worse games and lose by 29 points in years to come. They were quite gallant tonight. We haven't been able to say that about them too often this season, or at least probably in the last 6 or 7 weeks. But tonight they did play a good brand of footy, but in the end were overrun by 29 points. Tarrant kicking 5 for Collingwood, 3 to Nick Davis, 2 apiece to Buckley, Holland and Malloy. Singles to Lucuria, Fraser and Leon Davis. And I missed out Anthony Rocker kicking 2. For Fremantle, 3 to Justin Longmuir, 2 apiece to Coops and Ugle, and singles to McManus, Cook, Wirra, Pavlich, Bell and Bandy. Earlier tonight, Brisbane 21-point winners over the Kangaroos at Colonial, 21-10 to 18-7. For the Lions, Bradshaw kicked 6, McRae and Lappin 4. For the vanquished Kangaroos, Sav Rocker kicked 6, McKernan 4 and Carey 3. And earlier today in the 2-day games in Melbourne, Geelong by 12 points over St Kilda, Adelaide by 16 points over Melbourne. But alas, for the Fremantle Dockers, it's 0-17, and they'll have to look to round 18, where they'll take on Hawthorn in Melbourne. But for Collingwood, it is a big win for them. There's a big crowd of Collingwood supporters here at the ground, and interestingly, a lot of them are actually in the pocket down at right full forward at the CBN. We don't often see visiting club supporters down there, but there must be at least 1,500 of them.